Hi, my name's Ian and welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before and you have been here before, then welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing some pre-MOT checks on Annie the Transit MK7. She's due an MOT in a couple of weeks time, so I want to make sure that everything's working as it should be before we take the trip down there and get embarrassed by something that was easy to spot before the MOT. So this is basically some basic checks on stuff that you can do, well, not just with the Ford Transit MK7 but with any vehicle really that's due for an MOT. It's just basic checks to check out first. Obviously there's certain things that you won't be able to check yourself unless you're a qualified mechanic, but for the actual just general person, these checks are very simple and should save you that bit of embarrassment should your vehicle fail due to maybe a blown bulb or your wiper blades are split and that sort of thing. So that's what the sort of checks we're going to be doing today. So the first one we can check while we're still sat in here is, does the wash wipe work? So that question is yes, it wasn't working 10 minutes ago. In fact, I've just done a separate video on what to do if your washers aren't working. So yeah, that's a different video. But anyway, that part is working. Next test we might as well do while we're here is just making sure nobody's walking past to scare the living daylights out of them. Is we're going to do the horn. So the horn works. So next we're going to check the indicators. So that's the right hand one working there. We've got the side repeater working down there. Back. Now we've got that one working there. So we've now got the left hand one working at the back. Side repeater's working. Not that it's very visible in this light, it's very glary today, but it's definitely working. And then we've also got that one working as well. Oh, we're working with the indicators as well. We're going to check the hazard warning lights, make sure they're all working, which they should be because we've just checked the indicators. So, yeah, side repeater. Yep. And yep. And the side repeater on that side. Right, next we'll check that the side lights are working, which it is on that one. On there, it's quite a bright day today, so it's hard to see. Right, now we go around the back. The rear lights are working, which they are. There's there, and then we also need to check that our number plate lights are working as well, because that's one easy one to miss. There we go. Next bit is headlights. So yep, they're working. It's a bit dirty actually. I might give these a bit of a clean before it goes for its MOT. But that one's working as well. And then we're going to check the high beam. Yeah, that's the high beam working on that side. And the high beam working on this side. Next thing to check is the rear fog lights. That's working on this side here. On this side. Yep. Right, next one's reversing lights. Yep. Yep. The one that's a bit difficult to check when you're doing it on your own is the brake lights, but with the improvisation of a steering lock or a piece of wood, etc., that's jammed up against the driver's seat, we can then check our brake lights. So it's the two low level ones working, and also the camera's picking it up, that's the high level one as well. So next thing we're going to check is the condition of the wiper blades, just make sure there's no splits in them, that they're not worn, etc. And that one looks pretty much alright. And we're going to do the same with the other one as well. Again, looks pretty well alright, that one does as well. So the next thing we're going to check is the condition of the tyres, just make sure we've got plenty of tread in them. I mean, these are wearing down a bit, but they're still a bit of life left in them yet. It's just making sure you've got, you know, at least 3 mil of tread through there. A lot of tyres have like a depth gauge in them, but these ones for some reason don't have it in there. But as I said, that one's all right. The overall condition of the back one, that's got a little bit more meat in it than what the one on the front had as well. But, that looks all right. Coming around the other side, and that back tyre's got plenty of tread left in it. Then finally then coming on to the other front wheel, and again plenty of life left in that one as well. Again, it's just wearing a bit, it's like it's scrubbing very slightly on the inside, so it makes me wonder if the trekking's very slightly out on it. But I must say I'm thinking of selling this vehicle now, so I'm not going to be putting any new tyres on it. See, one thing it could do with those is a damn good wash. So that's the basic checks that most people can carry out on their vehicle. What I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be having a bit of a crawl around underneath the vehicle itself and doing a few further checks, but if you're not comfortable in crawling underneath your vehicle, then that's fair enough. Then hopefully then the MOT guy will be finding everything else that might be wrong with it. But if you do some more checks yourself, that's always a good thing. So now it's going to have a quick look at is the shock absorber, just make sure it doesn't look like it's leaking anything out of it. But, what I can see, that one looks pretty much all right. And coming around the other side, I don't know why the camera's picking this up actually, I've got a better view of it what the camera has actually, but yeah, that one looks pretty much alright as far as one can see of it. Yep. Obviously with having a van and being high up, it's a lot easier to look underneath it when it is your car. But another thing to be checking is your discs, making sure that they're not got any big lips on them. That one's pretty much alright, it has got a lip on it, but it's not a deep lip, so it's not worn down that much. So it's possible to have a look at the brake pads while I'm at it. Can't really see too much from where I'm at the moment. But, I did check them a while ago actually, because I did do some other work on this vehicle and they looked alright at the time. Going around over the other side at the back now, just checking the disc on the back there, and again I did some work on this vehicle a while ago, so I did check the back brakes on it and that, so there was plenty of meat on the pads at the time, and I've only done about probably 300 miles since. We're not going to go fully through it, but obviously another thing to look at when you can get in underneath your vehicle is look for corrosion, any holes etc that might be in the chassis, you know, anywhere structural, that's going to find an MOT. We've got structural corrosion. But, again, last year I sort of went through this with a wire brush, sort of got back the surface rust and then treated it with some black hammerite. And from what I can see at the moment, so I'm not going to sort of go through the whole lot with you. You know, I will check it myself later, just to make sure that there's nothing there in the way of rust etc that's going to create an issue with the MOT. Another thing to be checking as well, which I'm not going to have the engine running for this, but I'll check it myself, is making sure your exhaust is not blowing, because that again is an MOT failure if you've got a blowing exhaust pipe. But this silencer's in pretty good condition, as is the rest of the pipe. Yes, there is some surface rust on it and that, but it's all right. But again, obviously you need to be checking obviously inside the engine bay as well, make sure that the exhaust is not blowing on the manifold as well. Then again, at the front of the vehicle, then we can then is checking your brakes as well on the front there to make sure that there's no you know, your discs themselves aren't worn, that your brake pads are okay. Again, I'll be checking all this myself beforehand, but as I said, just sort of things to look out for. Another thing that can cause an MOT failure is if you see that the rubber thing there, I can't remember what it's called now, the gator, that's it. If that's split, that'll be an MOT failure as well. Again, just checking underneath again, look at the front end here for corrosion and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you're going to get a bit of corrosion. You know, it's in, I mean, that just there is just some actual hole that's actually in the chassis itself. It's nothing to do with the rot of the vehicle itself. I mean, these Ford Transit MK7s are renowned for rusted. But I must say this one seems to be pretty much a good one. Another thing to check as well is obviously your handbrake cable, for instance. That can be one of those things that can seize up. I did have an issue with this vehicle. It only just passed away. I had an advisory last year on the handbrake cable binding on the driver's side, but I wasn't very happy with the actual cable that ran down to the passenger side either, so I ended up changing both of those last year, and then just adjusted it up on this adjuster here. So if you have got a problem, if you think your handbrake's not biting enough or grabbing enough, then you can use this on this adjuster here. You can adjust it just to get it to work a bit better. Actually got a better view of the shock absorbers from this side actually than what I had on the original when I was originally looking a minute ago. But yeah, that looks all right on that side. Apart from again for some muck on it and that, but again there's no signs of any leaking etc on them. I'll go and check the front ones now. So just looking up the shock absorber tower, that looks alright. I mean, the other thing you can get is if it's broken springs and that sort of thing, but it's very difficult to actually look at to check it without the vehicle being on a ramp. The other thing to check as well is brake lines. Make sure they look alright and they're not rusted. Just checking up the inside of the other shock tower now. I had to go in from a different angle. But, again, that looks alright. As I said, you would never know if a spring was broken. I mean, they look alright from here, from what I can see anyway. And again, with regards to brake lines, just checking now the middle of the vehicle there. They look, you know, they all look in very good condition. Well, just on cue of me about finishing, the rain started to come down, even though the sun's still out. It's been a bit of a weird day today, I must say, with regards to the weather. Right, anyway, that's just some basic checks you can do yourself. I said there was ones at the very beginning were basic checks that really anybody should be able to do, and then if you're quite happy to crawl underneath your vehicle and have a good look around, then obviously there's other checks you can do as well. I may well have missed something out, and somebody's going to say in the comments maybe that I've missed something. So today's the day when Annie the Transit MK7 goes in for an MOT. Let's just see if she passes. So the question is, did Annie the Transit MK7 pass her MOT the other day? And the answer is yes, she did. But we do have a few advisories. So the on both sides, we've got suspension arm ball joint dust cover severely deteriorated, so they need replacing. We've got a corroded brake pipe down on the left-hand side of the van. Both the rear tyres really could do with changing. They're quite old, but they've still got plenty of tread in them, but the tester did say that they could probably do with changing soon. So that was basically all of it, so we have got a pass, and she is now up for sale. So if anyone's interested, let me know.